moment. It just came to me that if we are all souls who know about it just came to me that if we are all souls who knew about who we were before coming to Earth and pre-planned everything, then life was scripted and we were actors, and most of us forgot that and we became lost to our roles. Like they were in a spell. All you have to do is wake them up, remind them, and they should snap out of it. Did not Shakespeare say all the world's a stage and we are all actors? How right he was. They even knew at that time. They were always telling us. I think that will be their case when we one day confront them and say, "Why didn't you tell us?" They will say, "We did tell you. In fact, it was right under your nose the whole time." So with this discovery, I was feeling like a scientist who tested their hypothesis on themselves. It worked for me, so would it work for others? If it does, then crimes would cease, and it is not interfering with free will either, as when you remind them, they can still choose to do what they want, but when they are in their right frame of mind, they do not go through with their threats, as they know that is not who they really are. I told one of my friends about what I had been able to do, and he just laughed at me and said, "Jess, you're crazy. You cannot just jump into someone's eyes and speak to their soul and send someone love and light who holds you at gunpoint and expect for them to suddenly have a change of heart." "I know it sounds crazy," I replied. "So many things sound crazy at first till one tries it and witnesses it firsthand for themselves. Then they will see just how much there are no limits, just beliefs, and just how much truth is stranger than fiction." A few months later, my friend called me up and said, "Jess, guess what? When I was in Texas, I had this man very angry with me because I was not using the copy machine fast enough to his liking. He told me to hurry up, and I told him I'm almost finished." But that was not the right answer, because he pulled out a gun on me. And I did not freak out, Jess. Instead, your words rang out in my mind, and I looked at his eyes and I jumped in them, and I went to his soul and said he is playing a role and that is not who he really is. Then I sent him all the love and light I could, and do you know what happened next, Jess? He shook his head as if he was under some spell, and when he saw the gun in his hand, he freaked out and immediately threw the gun away, and then left all puzzled as to what had gotten into him. It worked, Jess. It actually worked. You did it. In one of Jewel's songs called "I Am Sensitive" from the Pieces of You CD, she says, "I have this theory that if we're only told we're bad, then that is the only idea we will ever have." Indeed, that was true. The ex-con, the roommate, and this gunman that my friend encountered were both told these things till they believed it and became it. But like what I learned about myself when I was growing up and being told I'm stupid, someone's opinion of me does not have to be my reality. So if this is a case for humans, could this also be so for spirits? Clue number 9. Careful what you think, Jess. It'll come to be. Shortly after, in my room came a howling demon. And oh, he was scary, in form and in sound. But now I saw them as little children on Halloween who have rather scary, gruesome costumes, but underneath all that was a sweet little child immersed in their character, doing like kids do best, playing pretend. Like we do in the movies. The more real, the better. No wonder when they wandered to someone's place who did not understand, said, "Demon, be gone!" And that only cast a spell on them and locked them in their role with years and years of constant validation of what they were but not are. Our words are so powerful we are constantly casting spells on one another, totally unaware. I am that I am. Or Papa even says I am what I am, and Eminem also says I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would you say I am? If we think the worst of punk kids, don't they deliver? Can't do that again. If we think the worst of punk kids, don't they deliver? So, knowing this, I pulled off the demon's mask, and sure enough, there was this lovely bright light. This had me wonder about the Illuminati and beyond polarity. My guides explained this to me in a very simple way. They said, "Jess, do you think someone who plays a villain in a movie is bad in real life?" "No," I said. Okay, they said, so then why would you think the Illuminati who is playing the villain in life is bad for real? You have read how hard it is for actors to play villains, the damage it does to their psyche, how much therapy they need to get over that role. Nothing is what it seems, and you are lost to your roles. The white hats, the dark hats, even you, Jess, you were lost to your role at one time. You know how when the cameras are not rolling, the actors, directors, and writers and extras all chill together? You all know each other, but when the camera is rolling, well, not like that anymore, they have politics and they separate them, but we still know. Anyway, but when the camera is rolling, the people on the streets are strangers, but many look at each other and say, why are they so familiar? We want you to ask yourself, who are you beyond your roles? Jess, do you remember when you were a kid and you would play with all your toys? You would play the role of each character, the good guy, the bad guy, the victim. All kids do this. What is this telling you? The best way to understand what is going on and how it is about oneness is to think back to when you were a child playing with all your toys. You would get so lost in this, sometimes you would forget you were playing, but all your characters were you. They all came from you. Are you not responsible for the games and scripts you make for becoming conscious, caring, caretaker creators? There's a tongue twister, say that 10 times fast. Oh, how many playwrights have you redone, movie remakes? Let's make it again, only this time this happens, perhaps an alternate ending, in hopes for your soul to awaken the part of self that is lost to the role. Oh, the tactics you use. Is this not why Buddha was not afraid of the serial killer that came to him wearing a necklace of severed fingers from his victims? The shock from the serial killer when he saw Buddha had no fear of him. In fact, in that moment, the serial killer's spell was broken and he spent the rest of his life studying under the Buddha. That was all they said, and I was left to ponder and grasp that. How could I judge anyone or anything now, I wondered. This deep love was starting to surge through me. This game was so clever. What a great way, a divine ploy to find our oneness, to feel self-love, to fall in love with all the reflections of self, the many facets of self. Then the story of the Greek god Narcissus was not about vanity at all, but self-love. By looking in a mirror, and it reflects our dark and light side. But is the mirror that reflects this to us evil? Shortly after, I went to work on set. Little did I know that working on this show would be the breaking point of me working on set from then on. My guides always told me I needed to leave, and I knew they were right, only I could not see what was beyond the bend. I still doubted myself. I felt my destiny, but could not see it. Therefore, I allowed myself to be frozen. Trust you must. The name of the show I worked on was called Caprica. It was about this girl that died, but before she did, she created this virtual reality program where she could live forever and be free to do whatever she wanted. Like most of us, we are drawn to the taboo and the reverse psychology. In a dream or video game, we do things we would never do in real life. I was hired to be one of the 20 fantasy girls to parade around as in a video game or virtual reality program. You could design your character to look like whatever you want and act out whatever fantasy. So we needed to look the part. This is very similar to my brother's video games that me and him played called Soul Calibur. I loved making new characters with purple skin or whatever danced into my imagination. As I was getting ready, having the hair department work on my hair, I could have sworn they used a whole can of hairspray so that if any bug flew into my hair by accident, they would be stuck screaming, "Help us! Help us!" While I was lost in this thought, the director walks in and says he wants to see the fantasy girls. He points to me and one other girl and pulls us aside and says, "In this scene, we are going to do this evil cult dance. Then the executioner will be ushered in holding a big knife. There will be a drum roll as he points his knife across the whole crowd till it stops and lands on a girl that will be sacrificed. You two girls will be right by the chosen sacrifice, so that when she is chosen, she will scream and resist, but you will grab her arms and drag her to the stage, where she will be thrown at the feet of the executioner. The crowd will cheer hungrily to witness the sacrifice. Then, when it is done, you guys will go into a flurry of excitement